Ms Seymour.
Thank you, Chairman. In reference to the situation in Hungary, the EU should not be interfering into the internal affairs of member states, regardless of your political opinions. Mr Orban is a democratically elected Prime Minister with two-thirds majority in Hungary's parliament. I suspect that there are not many parties or politicians in this chamber that have had the same support he has in his nation state. The EU should respect the democratic wishes of the Hungarian people and keep your nose out where it does not belong. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr President. This whole debate, which I voted against, exactly sums up the situation we are with regards to national sovereignty. If the European Union truly were a family of a nation of sovereign states, it would be not interfering in Hungary's internal political matters, and it strikes me as ridiculous that Mr Orban, who was democratically elected by the Hungarian people, should face such voices from a so-called elected democratic institution as the European Parliament. I think it is a disgrace, and I think it is a matter for the Hungarian people, rightly or wrongly, to decide their own political destinies. Thank you.
Mr Etheridge.
Thank you. I've just voted against a motion condemning Hungary. Why? Because they dare to suggest that they'll have referenda in their own country, freely and democratically held, about issues such as the death penalty. Well, I'll tell you something. I envy them. I wish we could have free and fair referenda in the UK and have them on a more regular basis, where they're not being manipulated by the government, as one upcoming one on the EU appears to be. And if there were a chance of a referendum on the death penalty in the UK, I tell you what, I'd enthusiastically campaign for it, and I'd like to see the issues out there. So I say to the EU, stop interfering with people's domestic affairs, stop fighting against democracy. I say to the British people, if you want your voice to be heard, if you want direct democracy on a whole range of subjects where a referendum could really make a difference, if you want freedom, then when this referendum does come on our membership of the EU, take note of the example of how they've treated Hungary, and let's get out. Vote to leave.
Mr Arnott.
Thank you very much. And as we just heard from my colleague Bill Etheridge, if there were a referendum in the UK on the return of the death penalty, he would enthusiastically vote in favour. I, as a colleague, take a different view. That's democracy. Two people sitting next to each other in the same chamber can have different views, different opinions, and we see that in house after house, neighbourhood after neighbourhood across the United Kingdom, and probably as well across the whole of Europe. That is what democracy is about, letting the people take decisions for themselves. See, I don't necessarily like every single thing that Hungary does, but Hungary is a sovereign, democratic nation, and this place should not interfere.